Welcome back to Whatever We Want, a podcast about celebrating storytelling. We talk movies, TV shows, video games, and more every episode. And this week we're talking about The Last Airbender movie.
I could hear your energy
dwindle
drop at the beginning of that.
I know. I was like,
as soon as the thought entered your head,
I was thinking like celebrating storytelling, and I was like, yes, we want to celebrate all storytelling, but like, is this storytelling worth celebrating? But before we get into that, we're joined again by our avatar, The Last Airbender expert and super mega fan, Logan Baker. Welcome back, Logan. How are you doing on this fine day?
Hi guys, I'm doing good until we're about to start talking about this movie. Yeah,
exactly. I'm in the same boat. And I was going to say, speaking of boats, but I don't have a transition. Speaking of not wanting to talk about Avatar: Last Airbender, let's postpone it a little more and discuss Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. This is our Valentine's episode, so that's why we're all dressed up for our video viewers. Everyone's all fancy. Daniel was not fancy, so he threw on a blazer in the last 2 minutes.
I should preface it with this, okay? Because we have a group chat, or like Jake was sending out updates like when we record, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said 10 p.m. So
no,
for
I
me,
didn't.
or sorry, 10 a.m.
I didn't. I said 10 a.m. PST. Is this the text I sent?
I didn't see the group chat for some reason. I was like looking for like you and me, like in our text. I'm like, I can't see it. So I set my alarm to 10 EST, and I got up. I'm like, okay, when we're recording, where's everybody at?
I woke up at 9 a.m. PST because I'm on Pacific time, Daniel's on Eastern time, and at 6:45 a.m. there was a message my time that was like, are we recording at 10? And I was like, yeah, PST.
And I was like, okay. So I went back to bed, and then I got up at like 12:50, and then
our group chat. You guys down to record Saturday at 10 a.m. PST, The Last Airbender movie? Literally 2 minutes later, Daniel responds, "Yup."
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even think about that.
All right. Anyways, we're here. We all made it. Daniel's now dressed up for Valentine's Day. Logan's got a nice jacket on. To get in the lovey-dovey mood, we're going to talk about The Last Airbender, I guess, the live-action movie leading up to the show coming out.
Because this movie is as sad as I'm going to be on Valentine's Day.
Oh, man, that's sad.
Yeah, that's kind of dark, actually.
My gosh.
But yeah, no, this movie's bad. It was just bad, dude.
Yeah, are we ready to just jump into it, I guess?
Yeah, I guess.
We postponed it. Enough.
It's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
A really slow, painful Band-Aid. Because we talk about. I know the last two Avatar episodes we've talked for like 2 hours. I vote we don't talk for 2 hours about this movie.
Nah, man, we gotta go
I feel
3
like
hours on this one. We gotta go in
gosh.
depth.
I mean, to give them like some benefit of the doubt for this movie, it's difficult to like adapt 20 episodes of a TV show into like an hour 45-minute movie. You know,
but
there's a lot of content.
I mean, sure, but like. What you do adapt is still wrong.
I'm trying to look at some silver linings, Daniel. But yes, I know they did a lot wrong.
They did like everything wrong.
What do you guys think the Last Airbender movie got on Rotten Tomatoes? I'll give you the critic score and audience score. I'll give you like two guesses.
I know the answer, so I'm not gonna.
All right, Daniel, you guess then.
Like 25, 26 for Rotten Tomatoes.
I actually don't have the answer in front of me, so I'll also guess. I'll guess. I'm gonna say like 13. I'm gonna guess some because like the Avatar name maybe carries it up. Like I would say like around 13 and 20.
So I have here its audience score of 30%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which is actually a little bit higher than I would have expected.
Yeah.
And then reviewer score or critic score of 5%.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh!
Oh no, bro!
I'm with the critics on this one. I feel like
I'm pretty sure this is worse than some of like other well-known worse movies of this time period.
Wow!
Like Aragon or something like that.
Oh my gosh!
Jackson.
That doesn't surprise me.
Ratings.
Yeah, that honestly doesn't surprise me. I do have a little bit of info up top about just like the production numbers, just because that stuff interests me. But this was a budget of $150 million, which is the most expensive Nickelodeon movies production that they ever did, mainly because of all the visual effects. Like I guess the other movies Nickelodeon were doing at the time was like that live action Timmy Turner movie with Drake Bell for some reason. Like that's like the other caliber of movie we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's so weird to think about. Like Disney kind of had like, I feel like a chokehold on like tween movies growing up. Like they had their High School Musicals and like Lemonade Mouth. Those were all good. And then like Nickelodeon's coming at us with like Ong. Like what are they doing?
Yeah.
Sticking to TV is what they should be doing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also for comparison, this movie, Last Airbender, had a budget of 150 million, and Iron Man 1, which was only 2 years before this movie came out, had a budget of 140 million dollars. So this had a higher budget than Iron Man, and like it feels like I seriously think this might have been like a money laundering scheme for Nickelodeon, because like, or maybe the M. Night Shyamalan who directed this, because like I don't know where the money went. Like the visuals, some of them are like impressive, but like there's barely any like bending in this, and when it is, it's like bad.
Yeah.
Didn't it gross pretty high?
It grossed
Like the movie?
320 million, which isn't great, because people, as like a rough estimate, people like to double a movie's budget to see how much money it actually has to make to break even, because you have to, that the budget doesn't account for marketing, and usually movies spend about the same on budget and marketing as like a rough estimate. So it like didn't break even really, and like didn't do that. I mean, they were planning on doing like 2 sequels after this, but because it didn't gross well, and also because it was received atrociously, it never got those sequels.
Marketing did this do though? Because if you think about it, like if they're promoting it on Nickelodeon.
Like those marketing price would be down. I think they were promoting it more, because this was like a big blockbuster. Like this was supposed to be like a tent pole. I was unfortunately looking at some interviews with M. Night Shyamalan.
It did not bust my blocks, dude. It did not bust my blocks. It was. All right, let's just get into it. Screw it. So we start off with freaking
Soka.
Well,
we get opening credits.
Intro.
It's they like butcher. Oh, this is the pinnacle of tell, don't show, which is the opposite of the filmmaking rule 1, which is show, don't tell. Like they tell so much. Like I literally like I wanted to stop watching this movie so many times. Like I like was just like sitting through it. Like I was like, I'm not gonna like look at the time code to see like how far I am. Like I'm just gonna get through it. And then at one point I was like, I need to pee, and so I paused it, and I saw I was a third of the way through the movie, and I was like, this cannot be real. Like I cannot only be a third through this movie.
I did tell Logan. I told you this. I did tell Logan. I fell asleep at one point.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
I didn't rewind it.
This is also the first time that I've ever watched this movie. I purposely.
Oh shoot!
I avoided this movie so hard because I knew I was
forgot.
Gonna hate it.
Did you watch it with Rena?
Yeah, I did. She had seen it before, but it had been a while.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Logan, what's your initial impression then of this movie?
And so starting out literally the start of the movie, not even getting into the movie, the like studio intro things that they do.
Yeah,
with
like the Paramount with like the water and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Nickelodeon.
I instantaneously noticed the fact that the bending was terrible. Like, it was not even into the movie yet, and the bending was already bad. And I was like, oh, this is rough.
Oh, like the studio logos. What about like the...
There was like a fire one, and I think...
Right.
Like,
so even before like the intro where they're like doing like the fire, earth, water, like before that...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, before that, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. And then they did that thing, and I was like, oh, this is getting worse already.
It was also like weird. Like in the animated intro, it feels like there's like kind of like a motion, like a momentum to it. In this one, it's like you can tell like they're like the Earthbender. I don't know. Like he's like it fades up, and then he's like waiting for like half a second too long, as if he's waiting for someone to say action. Then he does his move, and then the rock moves, and then he's just kind of like awkwardly standing there for like half a second too long before they fade to black. Like just like the momentum felt off to me. I don't know.
That's something that is like kind of the case in my mind throughout the entire movie. Just like the momentum. That's a great way of putting it. The momentum of the bending.
Yeah, the momentum and the pacing.
It doesn't fit the bend. Like the movements don't fit the bending at all. Yeah. It's like a ton of movement, a ton of like wand flicking around, and like, you know.
Yeah, the martial arts were pretty impressive, but then the bending just did not match or pair with that at all.
Yeah, talking about this from like an animator's perspective, momentum is a good word, but the exaggeration that you get in the animation was not there in the follow-through. And just it was really just a bad case of exaggeration and timing, which, funnily enough, you see that compensated for in like other movies that incorporate like fighting. Corridor talks about this all the time, like when there's movies where you like take out one frame from like here in the punch, so you get that more exaggerated impact.
Right. So it's skipping. So it's if it's like a punch is like would be 1, 2, 3 frames. They cut out the middle frame, so it looks like it goes 1 to 2 like really fast. Yeah. That's the principle you're talking about?
They don't do anything relative to that in regards to any of the choreography in this because it's all just janky.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a lot of sense in this case when you're trying to maybe not mimic, but like come off of an animated format where that's kind of inherent in the format is being able to do that.
To skip and being like 1s and 2s, having smears and stuff like that.
Yeah. The same thing reminded me of like going into live action Star Wars from like Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And stuff where the movements
and Rebels,
are just so much more slow. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it is possible to have like a good
way tangent
fight scene in like Star Wars because like I feel like the Episode 3 fight, like the speed they have there, like is just unmatched in my opinion. It's so good, and also just like the emotional weight behind that, like the emotional weight behind that fight leading up to it also lets me like have kind of a shield and forgive any like speed problems they can't achieve because it's not a cartoon. That's another big problem with this movie is there's no emotional weight to any, like I do not care about anyone in this because they don't show any character development happening. Like the fact that Katara like meets Aang, and then they like go to the village, then they save him, then they ride all the way to the Southern Air Temple, and then she asks, "What's your name?"
Exactly.
They don't.
Dude, it's
they don't even talk to Aang until they're already back in the Southern Water Tribe.
Yeah,
like he wakes up or something like that the next day, presumably. I don't know.
Yeah, and scenes like don't talking. End. They just like it's like an awkward like sentence ending, and then it's cut to the like an established shot of like the next scene. Like like Aang and Katara and Sokka are talking outside the iceberg right after Aang like wakes up. And then all of a sudden, Aang's in the tent, and I was like, "What? Like, what happened?"
Very, very early on, I said this out loud to Rena when we were watching it. I'm like, "This feels and looks like it's a
student film."
Yeah, exactly.
The green screen, especially in the intro with like Sokka on the ice, like the keying of Sokka's excuse me, of Sokka's like hood against the ice was atrocious. Like you could see the green spill, and I was like, where did the that's why I'm like, this is a money laundering scheme. Like how do you have that? I mean, some of the effects I thought were cool. Like when Katara initially gets that water out of the ocean, like her first waterbending orb, it kind of looked pretty cool, I thought. Minus the fact that if there's like water in that sphere and it's dripping that much water, it should be getting smaller. Minus that fact. But that I thought looked okay.
I will say I did think it makes sense if you're still learning to waterbend. You might not have such a strong grasp on the water, and it would leak out. So that made sense.
Yeah.
From like a logic point of view, but like you said, it didn't shrink, so it felt weird.
Yeah.
Like if something felt off about it.
And then she dumps it on Sokka, and Sokka's not wet when he stands up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was weird. But like, did you notice the shaky cam at the very first scene?
Oh really?
It was like,
I don't think I did.
I don't know if they were like trying to mimic you're on a boat or something.
Oh like that, maybe.
It was such.
Oh wait, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was just weird because it was like.
I was like, why do I feel seasick starting this movie off?
And also, they're not on a boat because they're like they skip the canoe part and they're just walking around. Yeah.
And the Star Wars entrance.
The opening credits.
The scroll text. And that was incorrect.
Yeah, Katara's. Wait, what was incorrect about it again? I don't remember everything.
Only the words weren't right. Talk to the spirits.
Wait, really?
They just no. They could have copied it directly and it would have been fine. And then they didn't. I'm like, it sounded like they watched it a couple years ago.
And we're just trying to
do it by memory.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? I kept asking myself why.
Tell me why.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to the next part where they get to Aang or Aang. It's gonna be a long podcast.
Can we say Aang?
Yeah, we'll say their actual
correct names.
Well, the reason he did that is because M. Night Shyamalan wanted to like be more like ethnically accurate to what like the culture and history that it comes from. That's like with pronunciations. But then people are like, then why did you cast all white dudes for these roles?
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
And I mean, actually, so I was looking on IMDb. Apparently, it's rumored that Nicola Peltz Beckman, the girl that played Katara, she was cast as a personal favor to her father, who is a billionaire, Nelson Peltz, whom Paramount owed a favor to because apparently he like gave a huge donation to Paramount a couple years ago, and so as a favor they had to cast her. So like nepotism, woo. And then they had to cast all white actors to fit the Southern Water Tribe, so it made sense why she was white. That's a rumor. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just saw that on IMDb trivia.
I hate that.
In the show, the waterbender or like the water tribes were kind of modeled. Everything I'm about to say is like rough. It's not like dead accurate. They didn't ever model something directly, but the creators tried to take,
inspiration
from take inspiration from the Inuit and Yupik tribes, which are just indigenous, like, northern, like Alaskan, Canadian,
Eskimo type. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the natives that lived in the north, they were trying to take from, and they did that for all the Earth Kingdom was very much like Han Chinese. The air nomads were Tibetan and Buddhist monks and stuff like that. And then Fire Nation wasn't Indian. It was Imperial Japan.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was a set thing, and then they just kind of threw that out the window.
Yep.
Which is surprising. And I don't see why, again.
I also, speaking of just the casting and Katara, my Roman Empire is that the girl that plays Katara, Nicola Peltz, she went on to become the love interest in Transformers Age of Extinction. Like, she had, like, a major glow up and, like, is...
blonde?
Yeah. Yeah.
The hell?
I know. I, like, did not believe that when I read that.
Wait.
Like, yeah, look up Transformers Age of Extinction cast. I guess that's what a billionaire can do.
That's the one where she's actually a robot, right?
No, I don't think so. This is like the first Mark Wahlberg one, I'm pretty sure, and it's his daughter.
That's crazy. Would not have guessed that's the same person.
I know.
Was she as bad of an actor?
I don't think
10
she was
years later?
great, but I don't know.
Okay.
When did Transformers Age of Extinction come out?
Was it 2015?
That was only 4 years later. This is only 4 years difference. That's kind of crazy.
That's a crazy...
TJ Miller's in Transformers Age of Extinction? What the heck?
I like how
old is she? 1995? She's only 29 years old!
She'd have been 14 or something during this film?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I guess 18 in Transformers.
I was crazy once.
What?
I saw After the Last Airbender.
The movie.
Night Shyamalan. Night Shyamalan with bad CGI.
That's like, how tough am I? I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, so the movie. Oh, come right in. That's actually perfect.
Yeah, dude, that threw me through a loop.
Oh my goodness.
You just made...
That's my Roman Empire, dude. I told you, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I get it.
I before we go back to the movie, I do want to just ask, like, how the heck did this movie happen? I did a little bit of research, like, how this could have become so bad, and I think part of it was, like, Nickelodeon meddling. Like, the original creators didn't want a movie to happen, and then when they found out that the movie was happening, like, whether or not they wanted it to or not, they approached Nickelodeon and was like, okay, then please let us, like, direct it and like head it
our thing, yeah.
And then but then Nickelodeon was like, no, we're gonna hire like a big name to direct a movie. And so when they found out that M. Night Shyamalan was hired, they decided to try to make the most of it and like give guidance and help steer the ship as best as they could, because they were like in executive producer roles. And apparently they had like a healthy working relationship in the beginning and it was going well, but then there was like kind of a bit of a falling out, which I couldn't get like too much information on to why that happened, but they kind of stepped away from the project a little bit, which we're kind of might be seeing history repeat itself with the Netflix live action show. I know, since we've like talked, like there's been some announcements about like they got rid of Sokka's sexism. Yeah.
Let's get rid of all the character development traits. All the important things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I told that, like, that headline itself doesn't seem like a bad thing when you just read it, but then when you think about it, you're like, no, because like Sokka, like I told that to someone who hadn't seen Avatar, they're like, oh, that makes sense. So you want to get rid of sexism in a character, but then I was like, no, but like he does get rid of it over the course of the show, and he grows, and that's like a huge part of his character arc and how he becomes a better person. And they were like, oh, then why would they get rid of that? And I was like, I don't know. That seems dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm extremely worried, but I'm going to try to make the most of it, at least for the first. At least the bending looks better. That's what I'm telling myself. But yeah.
Also, the IMDb trivia, apparently part of the film's failure, The Last Airbender, like 2010 live action, could be attributed to the fact that a lot of changes were made kind of last minute in production because they wanted to try to rush and convert it to like a 3D movie, like to have 3D bending effects for theatrical releases. Apparently.
The hell?
Hey, I already shot myself in the foot. Let me shoot myself in the other foot.
Well, it could be like a silver lining thing, because apparently like 30 minutes of footage was cut from the theatrical release because Paramount Pictures wanted the film converted to 3D as quickly as possible, which that saved us from having to watch 30 minutes more of that movie.
That kind of true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also that 30 minutes could have made the movie better, maybe? I don't know how, but maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
I feel like it probably would have been just like more detailed of the montage shit that goes on.
Yeah, like they go through the middle. Yeah, they go through the towns,
that was
inspiring people,
absolutely terrible.
And they go through one town, blast like one guy, and then they're like, "We've inspired the world."
Yeah.
There's like, I can think of maybe two, like off the top of my head, I can think of like 2 or so movies that did a montage well. I think one of them is Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other, I like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, or one of them where they're kind of like traveling, and it's just a travel like thing where there's nothing happening.
Rocky has some good montages.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's not the easiest thing in the world just to do a montage, and it makes it feel again more like a freaking student film from a high school, not even like a college student film. High school student film.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that this was filmed in Greenland, I think for like all the ice.
And then like, Pennsylvania for the rest of it.
Which is probably why it's so shitty, is just because it was filmed in.
Yeah, it's because
starting off bad.
M. Night Shyamalan, after his family moved here, he grew up in like Penn Valley, I think, like outside of Philly.
Wait, you're not shitting that it was filmed in Pennsylvania?
No. He films like a lot
all of the Asian villages in Pennsylvania.
God. Yeah.
No.
Maybe they got some Amish like craftsmen to do the sets. No, Daniel.
Yeah.
No.
Same. That was exactly my reaction, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not gonna lie. I was like, some of this foliage looks familiar. Now I know fucking why.
He was like, that was down the street from me.
I was sitting there watching the movie, and Rena's like spouting all these facts to me about like the background and like what's happening and like why it's so terrible. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
It's filmed in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It does. I think part of the problem of this movie is M. Night Shyamalan was the director, writer, and like producer. Like he was basically everything, and no one was there to tell him that it's shit.
Gotcha. Like interesting.
Yeah.
And apparently obviously the creators, Brian and Mike, they left after a while. It wasn't communicated.
Yeah.
Because they probably weren't getting through to him.
Right.
And he's just like, oh, I'm doing it my way. I'm not saying he's he's got great movies, but I don't think this is his type of movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So
like, I was even seeing in interviews, this was like his first attempt at like a blockbuster. And I don't know, it just didn't go well.
He does like the thriller.
Yeah, like The Sixth Sense is great.
Yeah, that's his thing, and I think maybe
stick to that. Stay in your lane.
Stick your lane, brother.
Yeah. I think he was like you said, it was first big blockbuster, first attempt. Like you're gonna not say no to something when it's your first try, but I don't think he would go back and do it today if given the opportunity, just because it's he understands now that it's too far outside his wheelhouse.
Yeah. I mean, even speaking of like the momentum of the bending, even just the pacing overall of this movie just felt like way too fast. Like we kind of mentioned and hinted at that, like just like the tell don't show, like it just kept happening. Like they didn't show anything. Like Katara had that opening monologue, but then just kept having like random spouts of narration. Like when she like, and the pinnacle of that is when, and I'm skipping ahead here, but like when she goes to the North Pole, they go to the North Pole, and then she just tells us that Sokka and Yue become close friends, and like that's how we learn about their relationship. And I was like, what?
They instantly became friends.
Why do I care about? Oh, also, sorry, a little fun fact: the girl that plays Yue, she went on to voice Asami in Korra. That's the voice of Asami.
Oh, really?
So
I do think she's actually one of the best cast of this thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
She wasn't terrible. Also, Asami's great.
Yeah.
When we get to Korra.
Yeah.
Smummy?
Okay, let's get back to like where we were kind of at in the what do you guys think of Aang's
ignore that.
Yeah, I am. What do you think of Aang's like tattoos and that change, adding more detail?
At first, like thinking back to like when this originally came out, I hated it, but now actually seeing it this time, I'm actually okay with it. I think it was an okay interpretation. Still not my favorite.
Yeah,
but I think it's still okay.
Because we've been like reading this Art of Avatar book, and it seems like in a lot of cases, like they had really intricate designs, and then had to kind of like streamline it so that it read better in animation. So it kind of would make sense that like they're in the live action, that's like an opportunity to like to add back some of those like intricacies. And I think the idea of like making more intricate tattoos works pretty well. My slight issue with it is that I think like the silhouette, like the striking image of Aang with an arrow on his head is very prominent. And I think in all of the details, it should have still been more filled. Like I feel like you could have details with more filled so that it was like more of like a impactful silhouette, because it didn't read as well as an arrow in my opinion.
Yeah, to me, what I would have done is I would have had it be more of a fill and then use negative space as a way to flow with the air symbology. I think that would have been better. But yeah, like, what were you going to say?
That's almost exactly what I was thinking as well. I would have taken inspiration, which is, it's a little bit different, but like Mori or different Polynesian, Asian Pacific Islander tattoos, like traditional tattoos.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like copy those, because it's not directly relevant, but that type of style where it's filled, but it's still moving and flowing, and there's a lot of design intricacy, but it's still, there's like there's a weight to it. Where
what kind of tattoos did Maui have in Moana? Because like, was he?
Yeah,
is that kind of similar
along that idea.
Okay. Yeah. Because I feel like
it's
that
kind of like traditional Maori. I don't know the proper terms for it. I'm sorry if I'm really screwing this up, but like I think I would just say generically Polynesian or Asian Pacific Islander traditional tattoos would work well in this situation where it's filled up and like Daniel said, it has some of the Airbender flowiness to it, but it's still, more solid.
Yeah.
Did Appa even have an arrow either? I tried to find it.
They massacred my boy. Appa is like was murdered. Live action Appa can't hurt you. Live action Appa just looks at you.
Yeah.
Live action Appa. Last Airbender.
I don't like how his face was just too forward. It was so weird.
I will say he looked young, which I kind of liked.
Appa did?
Yeah, like
he does have. I think he has an arrow, or maybe it's like like just a tuft of fur, the kind of in the shape of an arrow. I don't know.
I didn't even notice it if it wasn't.
Really, there's like 2 shots that Appa's in, and like
I know.
And I think there's 3.
We saw his face
the third
once
one
or something.
Is like him.
Honestly, I'm sad with that.
The third one is like him flying. I saw him like flying off in the background. Like they land at like by this water when they're about to practice like the waterbending scroll, and Aang has his whole like, oh, I made a big wave. And then Appa like flies away, and I was like, why would he fly away? I guess so they don't have to pay for his CGI, but like that, it was just so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, going back to Aang, the kid that plays him, I honestly think he looks like a good
Yeah, no, I think he would have been a
like,
good
it's decent
Aang.
casting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he was just discovered. This is funny. Like, I was looking up articles, and they were like, "This kid was discovered in an online audition," and everyone was like, "Wow, that's crazy!" Like back then, but like now, like I live with 2 actors, and all they do is online auditions. So it's funny that was like headline news
The
back
big thing
then.
back then.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, and apparently Noah Ringer was the kid, and he shaved his head and submitted a tape to Paramount just like randomly, and then was chosen. But also, which is really cool. But imagine having that much love and dedication for a franchise that you shave your head and like reach out and submit, then you get adopted in, and then you are part of. You're the face of this movie. Like that sucks, dude.
Has he done anything since?
He's done this and Cowboys versus Aliens, which was like the next year, and that's all he's done.
Cowboys versus, I don't know if
or maybe Cowboys and Aliens.
My boy, yeah, it was bad.
Cowboys and Aliens
was bad.
Gotcha.
It was a good concept, but it was just bad.
I that's unfortunate that that's the case. Like, I keep bringing this back to Star Wars, but I like feel like it's like a Hayden Christensen type of scenario where like it's hated. Like the movie that you're in is, and you're the star of, is hated on so much that you like just leave acting altogether because you're like, this isn't for me. I'd feel really bad if that's the case because he just got dealt a shit hand. Like, the writing was terrible. The dialogue
was so
every
bad.
time someone was speaking.
Awful.
Oh my goodness.
And part of the reason, and he just like he did have a lot of dedication. Like his kung fu, I thought was pretty good. It's just that it was dumb that they would just have him do random kung fu and no bending would be happening. Like it was just kind of awkward.
Yeah.
There is a scene towards the end, and I don't remember if it's at the very end or if it's like right before the final. I think it's like a training with Katara and Aang.
By the stream.
And they're just doing Tai Chi with no bending.
Yeah, and the
really
narration,
well done Tai Chi.
Katara's narration was like, Aang was struggling with waterbending, and it shows Aang doing the motions, but no waterbending's happening. And then she was like, I was picking it up quick. And it pans to Katara, she's doing Tai Chi, but no waterbending's happening. I'm like, how do I know you're doing it well where the outcome's the same? Like, what do you mean? That rubbed me so much the wrong way. But yeah, I think that's, if that's the scene you're talking about, I also was like, what do you mean?
There's so many.
Guys, I think it's time to get into this as well.
What?
Firebending.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, like
shivers just went down my
It is weird that like you need a source to firebend, but also like why in the show can they just produce fire from nothing? Because like they can't produce water from nothing. They can't produce earth from nothing. They can't produce air from nothing. Like, why is fire the only one that you can produce?
I think firebending was more about the energy.
Yeah,
compared to like the actual like form of matter.
Okay.
Because again, we talked about this a little bit last time. Like technically, if like ice is a rock, so like earthbenders should technically be able to bend ice, but that's not how it works because it's not about like the state of the thing. It's more about the content of the thing. So in this case, it's more about the energy and how that's being changed from like a lower state to a higher state that I think firebenders are able to do what they do.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way of putting it. I think like if you think about it, changing water to ice and ice to water, which is common for waterbenders, that's just inputting and taking out energy into the system. So like firebenders are kind of, it's wishy-washy, but like
I mean
in the same manner, it's like you're adding a ton of energy into the system and creating fire.
I just want to say I'm totally on the side of the show where like I think you should be able to produce fire, and I disagree with this change in the live action show that they like were like he's producing, like you can't produce fire from nothing. Like I think that's dumb, but I was just like, it made me think like, why is that the case for one versus the other? But I think it's a dumb change they made, and also like
I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah. Also, it kind of like weakens the Fire Nation a bit, and they're supposed to be this like big force that has taken over the world, and if they need fire to be able to fire bend, that like they even say it like in the movie that like when they hear they're coming, the Northern Wilder tribes like put out all the fires, all the lights. Like that's just an easy way to like nerf the Fire Nation a lot.
Yeah. Also, how would you deal with other characters like Combustion Man?
I don't even want to know.
I don't know. Does he has a lighter in front of his head, and then it like shoots?
He has really in front of his third eye. He's like, I'm ready.
It's like a flamethrower from his head. Oh my gosh.
It was weird.
It
was crazy that they explained at the end that Sozin's comet would allow them to just create fire. I think that was
okay. So maybe
it would power them up so much, and Iroh was able to just create fire.
Right.
In the final.
Maybe it was gonna be like a metal bending thing. Like once someone figured it out, like more people would be able to eventually like adopt and like learn that bending philosophy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if that's like what they were gonna go with, or if they just wanted to like
nerf
the Fire Nation until Sozin's comet,
and they didn't have to pay for as much fire bending. Honestly, that might have been it.
That would not be surprising.
Visual effects.
There were so many times where Zuko was literally like
just doing kung fu.
I think it was towards the end. He was just like beating up his goons.
Yeah.
He was like training, but he was just like literally just punching them.
And then at the end, he did one firebending blast, but they like rack focused to
Iroh. Dead.
Well, they rack focused to Iroh so that the background could just be really blurry. And I was like, what? when the Fire Nation or when the firebending actually happened.
Also, I feel like the scar on Zuko was very underdone.
Not anything. He still had his eyebrow. In the show, he had no eyebrow. Like, like he literally could just put a hood up and like just move it. And
talk
like,
to a little boy about himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. That was so strange. I didn't mind his casting though. Like,
yeah, I didn't either. I thought he was really good.
I forget the name of the actor. I think it was actually not terrible casting in that particular instance either. Like, there was some okay casting choices. Mm-hmm. Apparently, that was the reason why the entire Fire Nation was Indian.
Yeah, it's because they cast
except for Iroh for some reason,
right?
Which makes no sense. And his like Iroh's brother is like clearly
yeah.
I don't know.
He's adopted. I don't know, but
none of it made sense. I stopped trying to like
understand it. Yeah.
But when Zuko comes to the Southern Water Nation,
he just starts monologuing, so you know who he is. I am Prince Zuko, heir to the throne. Yeah. I was like, what?
Like to himself. He like turned away from everybody and was like whispering it.
Yeah, he didn't even like talk. And then Aang comes in and he's like,
there's no fight. Like they skipped the fight.
There was nothing.
And he's like, he's like, I'll go with you or come with me and I won't, whatever he says. Like there's no action so far in this part. It's just all talking. Besides that one firebender that like kicked up a campfire and scared the people. Yeah. That was it.
That was after Aang was already like headed away too. Like at the very least do that at the beginning to like scare people.
Yeah.
You know? It was such a weird sequence of events, and then
Katara's like, Aang's our responsibility. We got to go after him. Like, why? You've had half a conversation with him in a tent, and that's and you don't know his name.
You don't even know his name. You didn't even go penguin sliding with him. You know? Like,
yeah.
What the heck?
I was gonna point out, that I was like, what the fuck? I was gonna point out the stupid avatar test that Iroh.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
The rock flies up and like.
I was so confused.
But then they also included the toy thing, and his like
in his
flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, so they're doing both now.
Well, you mean Iroh, not Iroh? Sorry.
Oh god. Those toys, I'm pretty sure in the flashback aren't even correct.
Oh really?
They're not.
I zoomed it. There were so many things that like that in the northern. I think it was the Northern Air Temple when like the dude like betrayed him.
I have some thoughts on that, weird. But I'll talk about that after you.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can get to that later. But like the statues, those weren't even in the right air temple
spot.
Yeah.
To begin with, but like again, besides that point, Roku was correct as we just like looked directly at Roku.
Yeah,
the first
for
one.
The order. Yeah.
Kyoshi, we could say is fine because there was a female Earthbender was next in line, and then it was a female Waterbender. Before that,
which is not correct. Yeah.
And then a male Airbender, which is not correct as well.
Just messed those up.
They just like like Avatar Karuk was not female.
It was Shiruk. It was Shiruk from last time.
And then it was Avatar Yang Chen. It was just like a man for some reason. Like none of it.
Yang Men.
No details were correct in this thing.
Yeah. Gran also mentions that Hama left her village, like in like a conversation. I was like, oh, that's the Bloodbender. Kind of cool. She mentioned her, and then Gran talks about the spirit world. Well, first of all, they're again telling, not showing. And like, why they just like she talks about the spirit world and is like, I don't know, just gets a lot wrong. But yeah, you mentioned about the test, like, and then when Aang escapes from from like Iroh and Zuko, he doesn't go into the Avatar state and do like his water tornado, which is kind of lame in my opinion. He just like jumps off the ship. That's it.
That was like super low stakes.
Yeah.
Just kind of jogged off the ship with no one worrying about the prisoner escaping.
Then Momo kind of just like they like find Momo, and then he's just like is there for the rest of the time, I guess. Like I don't know. They don't have to catch him. Then
Did they even name him?
I don't think so.
I don't even remember them like saying the words Momo.
Yeah.
He's Mama.
he might just be a random.
They're just going from important beat to important beat, especially in the beginning here. Like, he just escaped the ship, and then like I timed it. Within 2 minutes in movie time, Aang escapes from Zuko, and then 2 minutes later, he finds Monkey Oxo's skeleton. Like 2 minutes, it happens.
It wasn't even. They didn't even have any like Fire Nation uniforms. Mm-hmm. No, nothing. It was literally just a bunch of skeletons scattered around, which was dumb. Yeah. And then like a necklace, which wasn't Aang giving him a necklace. It was a necklace that he earned because he was a master and like one of the elders at the town. Like that was just wrong again.
Yeah.
But and then Aang goes into the spirit world. Weirdly, when he's in the Avatar state,
that was to a dragon, and then also when he's in the Avatar state, it just kind of gets windy. Like it's not like this showing of power. It gets kind of windy.
It's windy out here.
Yeah,
Katara is just staying. It's a little windy. I presume that it was Fang that Aang was talking to.
Roku's dragon.
Yeah, that's why I
assumed.
assumed.
Fang. That wasn't explained at all, and I don't see why they couldn't just have Roku talk, like a normal human.
Yeah.
Also, just going into the Avatar state every time he's in, or going into the spirit world when he goes into the Avatar state.
Yeah.
And he's like not. That was just a weird decision.
Yeah.
And like wasn't consistent either.
There's just, again, going back to my earlier point, there's no emotional weight to this moment. Like, why do we care if Aang's people are dead? Like we don't know anything about this character right now except that he's a kid that like we don't even know he's the Avatar yet, because like that's also like a big through point is that Aang doesn't want to tell anyone he's the Avatar. Like he doesn't reveal it until he's in that Earth village, like to anyone. Like it's, and then I think the storyline they were trying to run with is Aang like learning to accept that he is the Avatar, and like learning to accept that by the end, which again is kind of somewhat the plot of the show, but like they do it in such a bad way. It's just done so horribly here.
They also just brought up the point of like he didn't like the idea that avatars can't have a family or something. That was just randomly added in, which is one incorrect because Roku had a family and kids and Zuko is his line.
Yeah.
But like that was just added just because instead of like being the Avatar just means a lot of responsibility and like, change, which is bad for, like maybe a kid wouldn't like. He decides that like having a family is the most important thing in the world at 12 years old.
Yeah, like what?
Like, what the hell? And that was kept bringing back up too. Like they brought that reason up many times.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the question: what cheeks did he want to clamp at 12, dude?
Katara's.
Like, what's going on there?
He wants that billionaire money.
Smart. Marry rich.
Also, maybe Katara doesn't know what the Avatar state looks like, but in the next scene when they walk into the Earth Kingdom, she's like, "Are you the Avatar?" Like, what do you think he did when he was like going all Super Saiyan in the Air Nomad? Like, was that just like a normal Airbender thing? He was glowing. I don't know.
Oh, also, didn't Gran say something where she was like right before they left? She's like, I think that kid's the Avatar.
I think that's why she keeps asking.
She did, yeah.
She's like, she keeps asking. He's not like officially ever confirmed it.
That's a good point. I forgot about that, Daniel.
Yeah.
Is it this early? At some point, I think they decided that they needed a ton of really close-up shots of Aang's face.
That was right after this Earth, they escaped from the Earth prison. But it's like,
that's what it was.
It's so jarring when they're talking. But yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, when they're in this Earth village, they kind of like skip Kyoshi and Omashu, but then like after they kind of like somewhat do Imprisoned, except then at the end of when they escape from the prison with the Earthbenders and inspire them, they like cut to like just a random statue of Kyoshi, and I was like, oh, we're like on Kyoshi's island now, I guess. Like what? That just kind of felt like out of place. But there's also like there's just like, again, going back to like it being a student film, there's one shot, like the establishing shot of them walking into the village. Like it's on them, then it pans to the village just so you can see like the village where they're in. And there's a lady, I don't know if anyone's noticed it, there's a lady sweeping on the side, and the sound effects of her like sweeping like do not match up with her hitting the ground. Like this, the sync is completely off, and it like I saw it and it just threw me for a loop. Like she sweeps, and then when she's like in the air, like getting ready to sweep back, you hear like a swish, like from the sweep hitting the ground, and it like was just like as wrong as it could be. And I was like, what is this? And also like the sound effects were so loud, like it just the mixing was like so off the entire time. That's why I noticed this, because the swishing was like so loud compared to just the dialogue. Like it was just overpowering, and I was like, what is this?
It's like that episode of Band Geeks from SpongeBob where Squidward's like, maybe if we play loud and everything mixes, people will think we're good.
Yeah.
I do think the music was like insanely loud in a lot of cases, like way.
The music was good though. I liked the music. I agree that it was loud, but the music is one thing in this film that I think was decent. Not incredibly incredible, and like I don't know if it paired well with the like scenes themselves, but I thought the score was one of the best things in this bad movie. Not saying it's fantastic, but
I was distracted too much by the BS visuals and the crappy storytelling to even recognize the music.
Okay, we're gonna say Logan.
I was gonna say I actually like highly disagree. I think the music was the most generic like adventure. You could have put that in any adventure, like Lord of the Rings, like any adventure movie ever, and it would have fit just fine. And this is such a different and like special world,
right?
And the music in the original series is so good, and it's unique. Like it is the most unique thing, where it's using
like different instruments.
You know, the Eastern instruments that are like real, legitimate, not Western.
Daniel, do you have your thing?
Orchestra. Your Kalima. Yeah, but like there was absolutely none of that like amazing music from the original.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. I didn't really think about it like that. That it was like pretty generic action music. I thought it was like decent, but it kind of strips away the personality from the show's original music. That's a good point. I didn't really think about it that way. I was just trying to grab at crumbs, Logan. I'm trying to think of anything.
It wasn't necessarily like bad music inherently. It was just like it didn't fit with what this could have been.
Yeah.
And it like the whole thing of like I wanted this to be a more realistic and like Shyamalan saying that he wanted it to be more realistic and ethnically like correct,
more accurate,
and like just putting in the most Western possible orchestra adventure music, just because he found it on like the standard internet, like the second thing on the like Google search.
Yeah.
The effort level is just not there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It ticked me off in particular because I always listen for the music. Like I'm a big music guy, so I love listening and trying to pick that out.
Okay. I get that.
That was my TED talk.
No, I get that. I'm if I ever watch this again, which I hope.
No.
I do absolutely do not have to do. I'm gonna pay attention to that. But let's jump into the atrocious oneer in this this imprisoned like escape scene.
Yeah.
Possibly the worst thing in cinema. Like possibly. It starts with like Qatar running in and just like pushing a guard. Like she runs like from all the way across the screen. We watch her slowly jog all the way across and go, "Leave him alone." It's like just like the dumbest thing ever. And then it continues, and then we see those 5 earthbenders do like this whole march, and then a rock slowly move across screen. And then also I watched it because like then it pans to someone else and like the focus is on them. I watched the rock, and when it hits, it just disappears. Like it doesn't crumble into like debris around the guy. The rock actually just disappears. Like it impacts him and like it hits him and there's like a little bit of dust, but like it just is gone. Like the matter erases.
I'm not surprised.
I just doesn't feel like it was planned well. Like I could tell it was planned. I think they planned probably around showing off all of these different people doing different kung fu, and I think if it was just that, it would be okay, better than what it is. But because they also have to incorporate bending and like they're doing all these like slow camera movements, the visual effects artists are then tasked with putting in elements that they're locked to the camera moves that are already established, and because the camera moves are so slow, they have to match the elements to be that slow, otherwise you won't see them, and it just makes the elements feel way too slow to have any weight behind this battle, and they're just kind of like locked in. So like I know what happened, it just shouldn't have happened. They should have been thinking about the elements and how they would have looked instead of just focusing on slowly showing off everyone's choreography.
Yeah, agreed.
That's really interesting. I wouldn't have thought about it from that perspective. I was just hating on it the entire time.
Yeah.
Without understanding. It's nice to have a reason why. Like that kind of thing that insight is cool to have, which I never would have come up with.
I think that's what happened. I don't know, but just thinking about the visual effects of it, I think that's
it makes
what
sense. Yeah.
I
appreciate that perspective though.
Yeah, no problem. I feel validated. Thank you.
The years of film college or film
school, they're
paying
off. They're not paying for themselves, but they're paying off. Oh my gosh. And then it ends, the oneer ends with a crossfade like to another shot out of the blue. Like in the middle of the battle, it ends with like a crossfade to a guy sliding across the ground, and it just like, why? Oh my gosh.
Also, this whole scene where the earthbenders are imprisoned in a bunch of earth area, like it wasn't on metal. Like they could have just bent.
I know.
The ground.
And
like, it wasn't. There was no reason why they were like imprisoned other than because they were. And
again, the show explained well, like their will had been broken down. And then I remember I said like in a lesser show, Katara would have made her first speech, and then they would have been rallied and like just fought off the attackers and like been fine. But I like how in the original show, like it took a while for them because their spirits were so broken for them to like build up the confidence to actually fight back. Well, this is that lesser show. Aang gives one speech and then the earthbenders are like, okay, let's go.
Bald kid, yeah. Bald kid, go burn.
He's like, I'm the Avatar.
Okay, let's fight. Woo. And then Katara just finds a waterbending scroll in a hut. So I guess that's how she gets that.
Yeah.
They just dismiss the pirates.
The more and more I think about this movie, the more and more depressed I get about it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because I have to like replay in my head. And it's just like...
Yeah,
we definitely got to keep this moving before we reach 3 hours.
So the next part is where we get that bad editing and camera angles where it's like Aang telling Katara and Sokka that he doesn't know how to bend the other elements, which is another conversation. Surprise. And this is where it's shot like here, like it's shot like from Aang's forehead to his chin for some reason. It's like an extreme close up, and then the reverse angle is like Sokka like kind of like almost off frame, and then Katara like awkwardly in the background out of focus. Like it's so bad. It is so bad.
I'm not a I'm not a super visual person. And I picked up on it, how bad it was. Yeah. So like, that means it's really bad.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that is rough.
Yeah.
Just seeing it. It's just everything is like a student film. Red flag.
This is the part where I went to use the bathroom and then I looked and I was 1/3 of the way through and I was like, oh my gosh.
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing some research, and apparently Zac Efron was auditioned for the role of Sokka or Sokka, as they pronounce it, and was offered the part, but had to turn it down due to scheduling conflicts. He dodged a bullet and a half. He dodged a bullet bill with that one.
Yeah.
That was a blue shell, dude.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Okay, and then they montage through the villages.
Yeah.
Yep.
Katara
Good old
narrates
montage.
some more.
Let's just get to the Northern Water Tribe.
Zhao talks about how he gets to the Great Library.
Oh wait, no, we still
yeah,
gotta do the
well,
He
blue
just
mask.
talks about it like
Yeah.
randomly.
Yeah, not
To-
even like when they're approaching like Iroh and Zhao, but I think he mentions to the Fire Lord. Also, the Fire Lord's not like shrouded in mystery. He's just like kind of
there.
around.
He's just
Yeah.
chatting
Walking.
to Zhao like they're friends. Like,
Yeah.
Good old buddies.
Hey,
like
hey,
that's
blood, what's
just
up?
fucking strange.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
I
okay.
think-
So just going back, sorry, to the montage. But before we get to the Water Tribe, talking about the pacing, I did another time check. So at 30 minutes is when they have that conversation about trying to start a rebellion, like that super weird close-up shot, trying to like inspire people. They have the montage where they like are apparently starting the rebellion, and then Aang, after the montage, is like, okay, we got to go to this place. I want to talk to that dragon again. And Sokka's like, oh, that's not a good idea because we have already started a rebellion. And that was at 38 minutes. So in 8 minutes, they have covered starting rebellion, apparently, and like in all of the world. That is how long that took to take place. But this is when he goes. Then we're at the Northern Air Temple. But sorry, what were you saying, Logan?
I was gonna say is that when he gets to the Northern Air Temple and meets the dude that looks like a monk but is actually just a random villager or something?
And it's the
That
voice
one
of
threw me
Oogway.
off.
He's the voice of
Yeah.
Oogway.
What?
And that's
I knew that.
this is okay. This he the guy that betrays
Monkey.
Aang is the voice of the actor that is the voice of Oogway. And this is what spoke to me the most in this entire movie. It says a lot when the most emotion I'm feeling from a movie is this intense sense of betrayal, but it's stemming from my feelings from Oogway, the actor betraying me, which is an actor in another movie. That's what gave me the most emotion during this viewing of this movie.
Yeah,
That says a lot.
That's
it does.
rough, buddy.
yeah.
When did he have time to call the Fire Nation?
I don't
Is
know.
what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Like
no cell phones. I mean,
yeah, like he's walking around with Aang, showing him the statues, like standing with him the whole time, presumably, and then the Fire Nation or the Yu Yang archers just appear
yeah.
randomly,
Yeah.
and then it like somehow becomes
The Blue Spirit.
episode, which
Yeah.
I guess is fine. Yeah,
No.
I don't know.
It was still done bad. Like
Yeah,
the whole
it was-
blue spirit stuff. It was
I'm glad that
cool,
they
like-
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I thought they were gonna skip it. I forgot they included it. Honestly.
Yeah. It was cool when it was like starting off and you didn't know kind of like what was if you were watching the movie for the first time without seeing the show, you're like, oh yeah, like who's taking care of these guards to get to Aang? Like what the heck? And or Ong. And then you're like, oh, it's this blue spirit guy. Why does he have? But then you're like, why does he have so long hair? Like, what is this wig? And then like,
That was
what's going
I didn't
on
like the
with
mask.
Yeah.
exactly, the mask looked terrible. And then, the fighting. Always the fighting with this one.
Yeah. The fighting, like it's. I unfortunately I think the shot of Zuko and Aang fighting alongside each other, like when Zuko's the blue spirit, I think it's the best choreographed thing so far we've gotten. And it's not great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's like going like to the slow-mo and out of slow-mo, but like again, thank goodness these firebenders aren't firebending, they're just doing kung fu against Aang, so he can just airbend his way out of this. Yeah,
True.
and then Zuko gets shot by an arrow, and yeah, we're just over halfway, and then we get to the Northern Water Tribe. Okay, can we let's just get to the Northern Water Tribe. I'm done talking about it.
I'm getting, yeah, we're already an hour into this, and most of it's been us moaning.
Yeah.
And sadness.
Princess Penis Head Yue.
What?
Have you not seen? You haven't seen the first shot of when you see Yue, the back of her head. Look up Yue live action Airbender back of head, and tell me it does not look like a penis.
God damn it, Jake! God.
Oh man.
How do you guys not notice that?
Because I didn't want to accept it.
That's not what I look for.
Yeah. I don't look for cocks in my
I saw
movies.
It's a meme thing. I swear, I didn't see it myself.
But okay, I'm not gonna lie. It is nice looking at.
Whoa,
like,
what?
Google, getting the castings. No. The castings for the new one. And like these new castings are like so much better, and like the costume design's so much better.
Yeah.
The one thing I think I hated the least about this movie was the scenery of the Northern
Water Tribe.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually not terrible. Like the scenery and like the buildings and such that were built could have been worse. Surprisingly not as bad as I thought it was going to be, I guess. So like that was maybe the one, not even.
Well, they spent half the movie here, so I guess they had to make it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We get no Paku sexism.
It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
If they were to do it, it would slow things down, and at this point, I'm like, keep it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aang showed that he's the Avatar, and then he got training.
Yeah.
He learned quickly. More narration.
Aang has like this problem that he's like too powerful with bending. He keeps like bending too much water for some reason.
Dude, the end. I'm just gonna cut to it. Like with he goes into the Avatar state,
and there's no like, Koizilla.
No. That's like. like Koizilla makes sense. I'm getting so emotional about this. I'm freaking spinning up here, dude. Freaking goddamn. Like Koizilla makes sense. Because, like, you're having the literal ocean spirit guide you so that way you're able to have that kind of power. Not, oh, I'm the Avatar, so I'm now able to, like, just literally bend an entire ocean. Like, Avatar's powerful, but there needs to be limits in place for things to actually make canonical sense to the story. Hence why when we see the actual siege, he's like, oh, I took out, like, dozens of ships, But there's just too many. That actually adds weight to the...
This unstoppable monster. Like
he doesn't even do it. Like he just makes a wave and then doesn't crash it either. And then he just says, "Please leave." And then
and like, I bet.
Because
he doesn't kill, right? So he can't do that. No.
Oh yeah. Good point. Well, Kyoshi's inside of him, so
true.
Yeah.
She'll murk everybody. Oh. I was just thinking about Zhao getting absolutely murked by 4 random waterbenders.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't
so stupid.
The koi, but it was kind of cool to see.
I guess that means he doesn't go into the spirit world for like in Korra in the future. Because his dead body just like collapsed. He like just he's dead.
Could not.
Yeah.
Give
about. I will say if there's one thing I will give the Last Airbender movie over the show, it's like explains a super, super, super small plot hole that I've always just kind of been curious about. I was never sure, like, in the show, how Zuko was able to find where Aang was meditating by the koi fish pond. And maybe it probably could be explained pretty easily. He just kind of, like, shows up, though, in the show.
Oh, yeah.
But in the movie... like Zuko's like climbing around on some roofs, and then sees Aang and Yue like running towards the entrance to the koi pond area. So then he follows them in there. That is the only like pro I will give this over the show, and it's such a super small, tiny plot hole that makes no difference at all.
That's a great. I never even considered that plot hole, but like. Just because I didn't care.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah. Again, when the story's good enough, you don't care. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was a little bit annoyed about how Zuko just determined randomly where to jump into the water. And like, go, like he didn't follow a seal or do any of that stuff. He just kind of randomly chose a spot and dove in. And he can't create fire.
Right.
But he can warm his hand up enough that it can melt through ice somehow.
So they can't create fire, but they can like cook food on their hands, I guess.
Yeah.
If they need to.
Yeah.
Give a spicy slap.
They should do that honestly, like for fighting, just like brand people. I don't know.
It's funny you say that.
Sauron.
Yeah.
That could like be an actual thing. I mean that was a thing going to like Spider-Man. He had a thing for a while where what was his one Kane would literally use the stickum powers of the hand to like rip people's skins off.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I left like a hand mark. So that was the mark of Cain. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, back to the tank with the
I'm just
last.
saying, imagine that with
Airbender.
firebending. That'd be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then we get some firebending and some waterbending actually finally happening. Like the battle starts. The audio mixing again is horrible. Like it's so loud.
Horrendous. This is also I should mark that when right after we got to the Northern Water Tribe, that's when I fell asleep. So I was asleep for
during this movie. Okay.
pretty much most of this until we get up to the actual shrine area that they're at.
Okay, nothing too much really happened. Like there's more exposition. UA basically explains to Sokka in a sentence when they're on a date, like, "Oh, the moon spirit gave me life," kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, I saw dumping. That.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Zhao, like I don't know, Zhao kills the moon spirit, and
just stabby.
And like up to this point, I was talking to Dan about this, but I was thinking like I want to ask at the end like who we think was the best adaptation from show to live action. And for a while, I was gonna say Iroh because I think he was the least butchered. Like he seemed like he had wisdom in the beginning and like cared for Zuko, and I thought he was like a decent representation, at least compared to everyone else. Until we get to the end here, when he just stands idly by when Zhao kills the moon spirit. Because in the show, Iroh's like jumped like ready to attack, but kind of like really far away, so we can't do anything if Zhao were to just stab him. But in this, like Iroh's just standing like shoulder to shoulder with Zhao, watching him do it. And he's like, "Don't do it, Zhao," just like pretty monotone. And then when Zhao does do it, surprise, surprise, Iroh then goes like crazy. And I was like, dude, you could have stopped him.
He knew ahead of time too, right?
Yeah.
Zhao like straight up told him that he was gonna murk the moon spirit. Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah.
And like also Zhao and they just kind of like waltzed in. Like there's a battle going on around them. Aang is nowhere to be found during like most of this. Like he's just gone.
Yeah.
Part of it he's fighting Zuko, just bare knuckle fist.
And he's like running through the battle.
Yeah.
Doing nothing.
He did like a Naruto run through a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Like I was just infuriated with what was happening with the main character. Just kind of non-existent during the final battle.
And then Yue like sacrifices herself like immediately. Like no time passes. Like I think probably more time passed in the 22-minute episode of the TV show than in this movie between when the moon spirit died and when Yue brought it back to life, because like the moon spirit just like came back to life. And I did it again. It was 4 screen minutes from when it died to when it came back in this movie.
That's insane. Also, like when the moon spirit died in this movie, it went red. Like everything went red.
Yeah, instead of black and
like
white.
Monotone.
Yeah.
Which is not correct.
Right. Because it's when he took it out of the waters when it went red. Then when he killed it, it went black and white.
Yeah. Just lost like some of that visual storytelling again.
Yeah.
Like the point when Iroh made his own fire, which is normal for like the show, but was crazy in the movie, I guess. It was kind of a cool visual.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
He had like kind of like dragon wings or like something like that coming.
Yeah.
But like he didn't even do anything with it.
No.
He just stood there.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of like ran away.
Like, whoa.
They're like, I'm gonna walk slowly away, and then Iroh just kind of let it go. And just, like nothing of consequence ever happens.
And then the culmination of the movie, Aang like remembers Monkey Atso and then bends a big wave, and then the Fire Nation leaves. Some of them like stay and bow down to him, and then
then
he
does that weird bow thing.
Yeah, then they show Azula at the end, like as if they were gonna do more movies of this.
It's funny that they thought.
I simultaneously feel like so much happened and nothing happened in this movie, leading towards nothing.
Nothing good happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's the way to put it.
All right, so I think that's
I feel
literally making me sick over here. That's
I feel depressed.
Yeah.
I am depression.
I watched this movie right after coming home from vacation,
Oh,
which was just
man.
a terrible way to like restart.
To ease back in.
Oh,
Wow, I'm
no,
so
dude.
sorry.
It wasn't easing back in very much, but it did get me prepared to go back to work. So.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, what character from the live action Avatar movie do you think they got? What character from the last Airbender movie do you think they butchered the most from the original show?
Probably Aang.
Either Aang, you
Yeah.
think? I think maybe Katara. Like Katara, like had no redeeming qualities in my opinion. Like she had
was
no
useless,
bravery, no courage. She just did. It was just exposition, and then like she lost so quickly to Zuko in the Northern Water Tribe.
Yeah.
Well, why would you say
That's
Aang,
a good
though?
point. I feel like there was like
Ong, I mean,
he didn't have
excuse
like
me.
he didn't have like a soul like
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
movie. Like there was no reason to root for him. Most of the things about him were expositioned.
Yeah.
By
I mean,
Katara.
most of the things in this movie were exposition, to be
Yeah,
fair.
that's true. But like there was nothing about him I wanted to root for. There like the fun.
True. Yeah, he had no like joy and like
trickster,
trying to be a kid, fun energy at all.
Like it was a sad like especially in book 1.
But Katara didn't mention her mother once, I don't think. Like, come on.
That's just butchered right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's half the character, but
Yeah.
no.
No, but
I
especially
think,
book 1, Aang is like the most joyful.
He's happy.
Doesn't have like the
Yeah.
weight of the world
Yeah.
responsibilities on his shoulders. And this one, it felt like it was all weight of the world on his shoulders. Or another contender, possibly Appa. Like, I absolutely would not want a stuffed animal of
my
that
boy.
Appa. They massacred my boy.
Yeah.
My boy.
My boy.
Yeah, dude. I just don't know what their character team was thinking with that, or their modeling team. It was just god awful. He's literally a sky bison.
Good
What
old
freaking?
Nickelodeon
You know what he was?
Movies.
Like those old Renaissance paintings of cats, where they look like people. That's what that was, but modern day CG.
That's so correct.
Okay.
That's so accurate.
On the flip side, what character does the last Airbender live action movie get most correct at adapting from the animated
Ironically,
TV show?
Momo.
Wait, what?
But they don't even name him.
Why do you think Momo? Because he doesn't do anything?
Because he's the most accurate CGI wise, and he still does nothing for the plot. So
I was gonna say Iroh, or excuse me, Ero, until like the thing I said was Zhao.
yeah,
Like because you can
say-
tell he cares about Zuko and overall cares about like the balance of the world, until he just stands idly by as Zhao murks the moon spirit.
I wouldn't disagree. I think Iroh's not terrible. Zuko wasn't terrible either, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, except for
we only saw him
Scar.
a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm willing to overlook that because they wanted
So
to
were the
make it.
filmmakers, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted to make it maybe realistic or more realistic somehow, I guess. Maybe not as intrusive, but we didn't see him very much.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's helping in this case of like he didn't have as much screen time.
Right. That's
screw
honestly
up
where I was
his-
kind of going. I was gonna also say Azula because she was in one scene and like she very much did exactly what she did in the show. So, or
That is a good point.
Or the Cabbage Man because he's not in it and he's barely in any of the Avatar episodes too. So that's kind of 1-to-1 as well.
Yeah.
Is the Cabbage Man in this
No
movie?
So they couldn't butcher him. They didn't butcher him because he's not in it.
Perfect
think he was in it.
representation.
Yeah.
They had just like a cart in the back that was filled with like lettuce instead. Like, no.
They got that wrong.
It's actually iceberg lettuce.
Yeah.
They butchered my boy.
That I mean, a positive from this show or from this movie is that the Netflix show has a low bar to reach, which I guess is a positive.
Does it though? Because like
I mean,
I'm still
for
comparing
live action
it to the show.
adaptations, yeah, no, but I mean compared to other live action adaptations.
I guess that's fair.
I'm still stuck on the is it lettucei? Lettuces?
What?
The plural of lettuce.
I think it's just lettuce.
It's like,
Yeah, it's like-
moose.
Can you
It's
grab
like
me?
fish.
Can you grab me some lettuce? Like you don't grab me one lettuce like a leaf of lettuce when I say, "Can you grab me some lettuce?"
That's true.
Can you grab me some meat?
Can you grab me some cabbages? Can you grab me some cabbage? Yeah, I guess it would be lettuce. Yeah. I don't like that.
Oh my. I just remembered something. I don't want to like dive back in again, but I just wanted to like think about right before the Fire Nation attacked the Northern Water Tribe, and all of the like the Water Tribe warriors were like sitting on the wall for some reason, and they just started like yelling "ho" or something, and it was the strangest thing I ever watched. I wanted to point out that and just cry a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I mean, at this point, it's like it's not even. I would say nitpicking, but it's not even nitpicking. It's just like everything was just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know when you have like a dream of something that's like kind of realistic, but like there's like all the things are just like in the wrong spots and stuff like that. It was like
just,
that,
like, slightly off. Like it's not quite right.
It was more than just
reality.
Slightly. Yeah, but yeah.
It's a fever dream.
Yeah.
Do you think if they did a live action sequel, like a sequel to the live action movie, it would have been better?
If anyone else was directing, writing, and producing it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm so glad they didn't.
They let the creators. I think the key is like, I don't understand why they aren't listening to the creators.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
If this was Harry Potter or like any other book that they did an adaptation, like you're not gonna not listen to J.K. Rowling when you're adapting.
I don't know.
Harry Potter movie.
Not these days.
Well, okay, that's a good point. But like the creators didn't get canceled.
Yeah.
Right.
They made this world.
Yeah, they know it literally the best.
Like a book, like it's a book. You know, they have great detail in what they did, and nobody feels the need to like listen to them or stick to what they want. Probably for like, you know, budgetary reasons. They're perfectionists. They want to get things done well. But shouldn't every director and writer want to do it well?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion, but
yeah, it's a good opinion.
All right.
Maybe money is key.
We can't make this go 2 hours. We're at 1:25. Let's wrap this up. So I just want to say that The Last Airbender won 5 awards at the 31st Annual Raspberry Awards, which is like an award show for like worst movies. And like, so they won for worst movie, worst director, worst screenplay, and worst supporting actor, and worst eye-gouging misuse of 3D. That kind of sucks. Like, I hate awards that like diminish other people's work, but still like, it's also tough when there's something that you love and you like, that meant a lot to you growing up that is then tarnished and treated without care.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of the original Percy Jackson movies from like so long ago. And I'm hopeful that the live action turns out like the show, because I feel like
did you see the
they're
show?
treating it with more respect. Yeah. I thought it was pretty good in most cases. Like
there were a couple things I was kind of iffy on towards the end.
It's not perfect.
Yeah,
but
it was a lot
better than the movies. You know,
agreed.
It's a great improvement, and that's kind of all that I'm hoping for with the upcoming Avatar series.
Yeah,
it's at least better, at least improvement, and you know, made with some amount of care.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready for? Is any other last minute thoughts on?
No, let's end it. I don't want to think about it anymore.
All right, are you ready for patron shoutouts then?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Cue the Stars Music, Bush Garbage, and Lloyd, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much, Legend and Tier. Consider the shout out if you'd like to support us over on Patreon. Link is down in the description to get the audio episode early, special benefits, cool perks, all that jazz, and more. Thank you seriously, sincerely to our Patreon supporters. You ready for cool comments?
Yeah, what are people saying this time?
So on our Was 2023 the worst year in Hollywood episode, Lunar Butterfly commented, 2023 is honestly my favorite movie/TV show year yet. I think a big reason for that is that I actually got to go to the movie theater pretty much all year long because of my Regal Unlimited pass. Not sponsored, but we could be Regal. So I was actually able to enjoy most of the big releases. A handful of things came out that I was extremely excited about, and I feel like pretty much every week or every month. I had something to look forward to, and I enjoyed a big chunk of things that came out. I'm interested to see how 2024 will be, but I don't know if anything can top 2023 for me. We got some amazing stuff in 1 year. That's really interesting because 2023 was the year of the strikes. Like a lot of things kind of slowed down towards the end. Yeah. It got pushed. So interested to see.
Do you think that will affect 2024 more?
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah.
That's true. I do think it started to affect the end of 2023 because a lot of the movies in the last half of the year that were gonna be banking on like actors to promote their movies in like press delayed to 2024. So a lot of the end of 2023 movies were starting to get like Dune 2 was supposed to come out last year. I think Madam Web maybe was supposed to be last year. I don't really know. I think Kraven the Hunter was supposed to be last year, but now that's this year. So I think there might be like a little bit of a divot, like a bubble where like there isn't like once the movies that were supposed to come out in 2023 are kind of all out at the beginning of this year, there might be a little bit of a lull before things in the end of 2024 start like bumping up again. But I don't know.
There were some big ones that did come out in 2023, so I can understand.
Yeah, I mean Spider-Verse I think was my favorite last year.
Yeah.
Did Avatar 2 come out?
No, that was end of 2022.
That was 2022.
December 2022.
Then yeah, I think Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, 2025 is gonna be crazy though. There's gonna be a lot of stuff coming out for that.
Deadpool's this year, July.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Ready for the introduction?
Yeah, tell me when.
When?
We just talk about what we want to talk about. Sadly, it was Avatar, and now we're done.
Thank you everyone for listening. We really sincerely appreciate it.
And apologize.
This is our end for now with Avatar stuff. So this is gonna go out on the 12th, and then I think next week we're gonna have an episode covering something else because the live action show doesn't come out till the 22nd, which is the following week. I don't know if we're gonna do like every week covering every episode of Avatar. Maybe we'll review it like at the end when it all comes out. We're gonna kind of play it by ear, but we'll figure it out. Maybe we need a little break from Avatar after this movie. But thank you, Logan, for joining us on this 3-episode journey. We will 100% have you back if you would like for to talk about the live action show, to talk about Korra, talk about season 2 and 3 of the original show. You're our Avatar guy, so thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Can't wait.
Yeah, dude. You had a lot of good insights. Thank you, Daniel, also for being here. Seriously, do appreciate you. All right. Logan, is there anything you want to promote or anything while you're here? Shout out.
I want to shout out Raspberry Awards. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go look them up now because they got some good ones on this movie.
Yeah. All right. See you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.